So hey everyone, it's Trevor Turnbull here with Sports Networker, and I'm joined by Skype right now by Mark Keys. How's it going, Mark?
Excellent. Thank you, Trevor, for having me today. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. So we'll let Mark do a little bit of introduction for himself here in a second. I'll just tell you high level who this guy is and why you should watch this video right now. So Mark is the Chief Digital Officer for Keys Digital Media, doing all kinds of cool stuff, and we're definitely going to talk about some of the interesting things you're doing around augmented reality and social TV and all that kind of stuff in this interview. But he's also the former VP of Interactive Content Production and Social Media with the WWE. And of course, our audience that is definitely passionate about the sports industry is going to love hearing his experience working with the WWE. And he has a wealth of experience in the sports and entertainment industry. Really looking forward to having this chat with him. Mark, let's first of all maybe start out with, let's back it up and talk about, how did you get into this space?
Sure. Well, once again, thanks for having me, Trevor, and a fellow Canadian here. Grew up in
Yes.
the Reader's Digest version of my career thus far. As I've been in the entertainment, live kind of sports, live music and entertainment space for about 25 years right now. Grew up in Scarborough, Toronto, Canada, and thought I had a face for radio, so I went to Seneca College for broadcasting. And there was this once I kind of got into broadcasting, really fell in love with it, and there was this new little startup that just had happened about that time called MTV. And as you fellow Canadians will know, in Canada that was called Much Music.
Of course,
So I got a call one day after some serious badgering of receptionist producers and anybody who I could kind of get a name on to go work at Much Music, and spent about 8 years there at the beginning of my career, and it was just a fantastic period. It was from about the mid '80s to the mid '90s. And as a lot of people know, the differences between Much Music and MTV was that Much Music was live, and MTV wasn't. And there were three rules. There were three rules there that we had to follow, which have kind of followed me throughout the rest of my career, which has been it had to be cheap, it had to be fast, and it had to be live, and it had to be great. Well, Jesus, sorry, dropped my camera there. And it had to be live, exactly. And you had to deal with problems like cameras falling. Wonderful period, 8 years there. Then I decided to move on, and I got an opportunity to move out to Asia, and started Asia's first all-Mandarin music video network. I was one of the first executive producers to launch a channel called Channel KTV, based out of Singapore. Did that for about 2 years, then moved on to become the first executive producer for a channel developed by Sony Pictures Entertainment Television called AXN, and launched I don't know, about 6 or 7 channels for them internationally, mostly in Asia and Europe, being their first executive producer for on-air promotions and programming. And then one day when I was working with them, I kind of decided that they didn't have a flagship program, and we hooked up with some of the ex-MTV Asia VJs, and started my own company for a little bit called Interruption Television, or ITV, and we created a show called Planet X and Extreme Asia, which would kind of, I guess, be like an Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations meets the X Games. Back in those days, and did 26 episodes of that show, and did another 26 episodes of Extreme Asia. Then very quickly decided to move back to the United States, and got an opportunity to work back in music with Billboard magazine, and worked for a company called Billboard Live down in South Beach in Miami, and we bought an old dilapidated kind of hotel, actually, and made it one of the first webcasting, broadcasting, and kind of web facilities in the U.S. where we could do live concerts from. Billboard Music Awards, a lot of the Latin Billboard Music Awards, obviously because of Miami, and a lot of chart shows. Then hooked up with a guy named Les Garland, who was one of the founders of MTV that I knew through the business, and worked with him and a gentleman named Gary Jaffe, and launched the Tube Music Network. which was kind of at that point reality television had kind of set into MTV and the Real World, and all of those shows had taken place, and there was really no place for music videos anymore. So our tagline at the Tube Music Network was music television only with music, which was kind of fun. And then after that, kind of the HR department called over at WWE, and since up until last August, I was vice president of WWE, running their website for content and social media, and what an awesome experience that was.
Yeah. So you really started when video killed the radio star, then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I'm aging myself now, but back in those days, it was tape. It was $10,000 an hour to get into a studio. There was no digital media, so your kind of attitude of storytelling or paper editing or a digital video effect that someone can do on their iPhone right now used to cost $2,000.
Yeah.
So it was just watching the industry change over these past years has been really interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that we talk to when we do these interviews, and we ask them the question, were you passionate about sports when you got into the industry, or were you just good at one skill set or a number of skill sets and then kind of fell into the sports industry? What was your story on that? Were you a WWE fan before you got involved with the company, or was all of your experience just kind of naturally led you to that position?
Exactly. No, great question. I think I can't play an instrument, or I wasn't very good at skating in Canada and couldn't play hockey, or couldn't play football. So the closest thing that I could get to, I think, a live experience, which is kind of what sports and music is to me, is becoming a TV producer or becoming or running websites. I think it's the passion of the live event that really is the exciting thing for me to do.
So you weren't a WWE fan then, obviously.
No, that's the odd thing about it, is that when Channel KTV called and I moved to Singapore, I knew nothing about Mandarin music or Canto pop. And when WWE called, I basically told them, I said, I really know nothing about WWE other than Hulk Hogan and a few other things. But rapidly became a fan. The people that worked there were so passionate about the product and the WWE history. It's such a iconic brand that quickly I fell in love with it and understood the power that it has with the fans and the audience.
Yeah. Let's speak directly to what your role was with WWE then. And obviously, you started in 2008, I believe, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so and I imagine it evolved quite a bit over the 3 years that you were there, too, with social media and everything. But what did it first start out being? Was it just, managing the websites and the content production on a daily basis, and then evolved to social media, or how did that all go?
Yeah, exactly. I was brought into, as the VP of interactive web content and social media, was kind of tagged on to the end of my title.
Okay.
But it was basically to make WWE a live newsroom. We had a staff of 40. We produced, 1,500 pieces of content a week. There were 14 internal business divisions of WWE. WWE Films, the marketing department, the DVDs, the magazine. So really taking the website and understanding how each piece of content worked within the cyclical nature of a news cycle, within the live shows as well. So, whatever happened in the ring was usually on the website within, I think we had it down to about 8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
After something that happened in the ring. There was, either a mention of it, a photograph of it, or, a story that happened on the website.
Yeah.
And then, it was 2008, and social media, obviously it already started, but it was one of those areas that, to be completely honest with you, Trevor, I was kind of reticent to take over, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. There was a gentleman named Corey Clayton who kind of started this thing called Facebook and this thing called Twitter, and walked into my office every day and was like, Mark, we really need to do this. We really need to get on it. And I think at that point we had we had maybe we had 2 or 3 pages. I can't remember exactly what we had, and maybe a couple of 100,000 likes.
Yeah.
So once, I really changed my mind. The problem that happens is that you spend, the old school of thinking is that you spend all of your marketing dollars and you spend all of your time trying to get people to your website or to your television network, and this is the only place where you can see this, and you have to come here to do that.
Yeah.
And I really shared that kind of old mentality. But once we realized that you have to really go fish where the fish are, kind of thing, or have an inclusive attitude towards the content. And we really went where the fans were and really elevated the fans' voice and put our foot on the gas pedal on social media. It just took off like crazy.
Yeah.
So Corey did a wonderful job of basically banging down my door every day, saying, come on, we got to do this. And I think once we actually did it, I was seeing all of a sudden, 10,000 comments, 15,000 comments, 25,000 comments. We went from 1 million likes to 2 million likes to 5 million likes to 60 million likes. And another gentleman that was really instrumental in making that play was a guy named Joey Styles, who some WWE fans will know as one of the ex-announcers of ECW, and he was really instrumental in getting the superstars to kind of work on implementing social media and really embracing it as well. So once we got John Cena and the rest of the guys involved, it just took off. So I think once from the time we actually said, okay, let's test social media, and to the time I left, I think it was maybe 1 million likes. When I left, there was 60 million likes across 117 pages on Facebook. John Cena was the second most followed American athlete on Twitter. WWEs, the second most popular sports brand on Facebook, only to be beaten by the NBA. And WWE just really, as we say, put the smackdown on social media.
No doubt. And why do you think that is? Like, what do you think the main core of why the WWE found so much success in the social media ring, so to speak? Is it, like a lot of people, I'm in my mid-30s and I grew up with the WWF, right?
Right.
You can argue that the WWE maybe lost a few fans along the way with the UFC and other sports, I guess, rising in popularity.
Sure.
Yet the WWE just seems to keep growing and growing. Why do you think that is?
Okay, well, I think it comes back to a couple of different things, and kind of to take it back for a second with kind of social media and how that play is right now. A lot of people think that this is like a one-way communication. This is me talking to you or you talking to me. And what we really embraced at the WWE was a 360 communication. The conversation continues.
Right.
It's not a one-way message. Hey, buy this, or this is on now, or go see this. It's what do you think? Your calls to action are really different, and the nature of WWE, it being a weekly storyline, social media really lends itself to the continuation of that storyline. And once the WWE really embraced the rabid fan base that they have,
right,
and elevating that voice, it was just fantastic. And at the end of the day, it's good against evil. It's good guys and bad guys. So.
Right, yeah.
I guess I did cheat a little bit because I had a great brand to work with from that perspective. But as I was saying, we could just throw a hand grenade in there, and The Rock or Cena, what do you think? And all of a sudden, the fan base is so engaged with the characters and the storylines that they have that the brand itself is just perfectly lends itself to that kind of 360 mentality of social media.
Right. So you guys really took the approach to empower the athletes as well as your internal staff then too to speak with their authentic voice. I think that's what you're saying is that when you start out with 2 fan pages and you said it's up to what, like 100 and some now?
Think since I've left, I left last August, and they've just I'm so proud of the guys there. They've just taken it to such a new level. I think. I read in Mashable last week that they've got up to their 100th millionth, or if I can say that properly, 100 millionth like on Facebook.
Wow.
And they just had their 1,000th show of Raw, and I think it was the fourth. If you go to Bluefin Labs, which is a kind of an interesting social media measurement company, it's the fourth ever most talked about program on social media, only to be outbeaten, I think, by season 11 of American Idol. So not bad. So proud to be a part of it. Can't take credit for that, but proud to be part of the beginning.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think when I hear all these numbers and stuff too, you think 15,000 comments on a Facebook post and 100 million total likes and 100 athletes potentially in the WWE that all have their own pages that need to be kind of told and educated on how to use these tools, and the internal staff that's trying to manage that. How do you think that's even possible, and what approach did you guys take to try and make sure that it was an engaging tool, like you say, while still knowing that being able to respond to everybody was probably impossible?
Right, exactly. No, it was like as I mentioned in the beginning. It was one guy, myself, and Joey, really working with the superstars to kind of manage it, and we had a team of moderators. We had about 4 moderators that would keep an eye on, what was going on, what people were saying, and going back and forth. I'm not sure what they're doing now, but I know, through the consultancy that I'm working on now, I know a lot of sports teams and a lot of leagues, especially have, upwards of teams of 30 to 40 right now that are listeners, are sentiment trackers, are monitors, and do respond. If a brand or a professional athlete or an entertainer, as we've all seen with the examples of the Jacksons this week, and with the Olympics going on right now, and the Greek athlete that was, I think, suspended because of a bad Twitter, of an off-color Twitter remark. Yeah. If brands don't have teams like that on staff right now, you're just going to be killed. And it's once again the 360 cyclical conversation that has to be had and monitored. Users are expecting their voice to be heard, their voice to be elevated right now, and they're expecting a response within minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we spoke about this previously too, but the whole idea of storytelling, I think, is critical in a lot of this as well, right? Having your messaging down so that you actually can scale and empower your staff to be able to know how to speak, authentically, but at the same time while representing the company. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for big corporations and sports brands.
Exactly. A lot of the brands right now, before I left and what we're working on right now is a lot of times is exactly that. Is practices and procedures, is how to message your audience. And I think what we were talking about, the new keep it simple and
I had a great quote. I can't think of it right now, but
Keep it short, simple, and sincere.
Short and sincere. That's what it was. Yeah. No longer keep it simple, stupid, but keep it short and sincere. It's kind of a new rule around social media. Yeah.
Absolutely, because no longer people can smell inauthentic messaging right away right now. So there's got to be brands, a lot of brands, and I think that was the great thing about the WWE did when they pivoted. And what I'm, recommending a lot of other brands do right now is, you have to move from being an authority or an authority figure or the expert on something to being more of a friend. The average person on Facebook has about 135 followers, and most of their information or most of their kind of social currency or value that they put on a brand comes through Facebook or Twitter right now, and these social media properties have basically really become customer service, and if a brand or a sports league or as we've seen, there's countless examples in the sports, in the sports field, say with Penn State or I could go down the list and insert professional athlete here. It's a really powerful and fast tool to either message something great or or bad news travels faster.
For sure, yeah. It creates opportunity, but it also creates risk if
exactly
you know how to approach it, right? And
exactly. So your calls to action have to be very carefully put, and once again going back to having an authentic voice. People can smell a cell a mile away, and they'll just unfollow you or dislike you or or tell you your opinion, and you have to reply.
Yeah, yeah. This actually transitions well into the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, which is the kind of the next thing. You know, where are we evolving to? And it speaks to, you know, how influenced everybody is nowadays by their peer group, right? Who they're actually connected with online.
Exactly.
And we see a lot of, or no, I shouldn't say a lot, we see some brands starting to embrace that now, where they're realizing that everything from watching a live event to interacting with it on your phone and interacting with it on your iPad and, you know, being able to purchase products instantly and all that is really kind of starting to take shape right now. Maybe let's talk about that. Tell me your thoughts on, you know, where we're at now and where you maybe see things going here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Exactly. Well, you know, it's just amazing. We're at, you know, I'm so excited right now, honestly, just to be alive and to be a part of this industry for so long. You know, we talked at the beginning of the conversation about, you know, where I started, you know, and I started carrying 2-inch tapes around from room to room to room, and then, you know, went to Betacam and then went to digital, and now, you know, we're talking about, you know, we're on the precipice of this brand new, just amazing and exciting new digital revolution that's happening right now, and it's all going to be controlled, you know, through your iPad and through social media and through kind of IPTV. And you know, the individual, you know, 85 million IPTVs are going to be sold in the next 5 years, and by 2020. You know, the holy grail is going to be, basically, you're going to be sitting in front of your TV. Your TV is going to have facial recognition. Your television is going to have voice recognition. And as commercials play, or as a sports team plays, you're going to be able to use this device that I'm talking to you on right now. You're going to be chatting with your friends. You're going to be Skyping with your friends. Or there's going to be some type of, you know, visual communication. You're going to be able to point your iPad at your TV and buy, you know, Tebow's jersey that's going to come up. You're going to be able to talk to your television and say, you know, tell me more. Yeah. And you know, your viewing experience will become so personalized towards you or your family that you're viewing content with right now, that the whole experience of sports or live music or television in that sense is just going to be incredible. So. You know, a lot of the work that I'm looking at right now, I'm looking towards is, you know, kind of second screen or shoulder content that we call for iPads, that enhanced content that, you know, is going to be triggered through, audio synchronization, things like that, and facial recognition. It's just incredible what's going on right now.
Yeah. Oh, I know you sent me a link to a site called ThinkTV.
Yeah,
.com.au or something like that.
.au, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I noticed on there, and you touched on it a lot already, is that you know, they were talking about this evolution of interactivity with the screens and everything else, and my initial thought was, oh my God, it's busy enough. Like I watch ESPN or TSN up here in Canada, and I got a ticker here, and I got a ticker here, and I got a ticker here, and there's an ad there, and there's the guy, right?
Right, yeah.
And what actually was really enlightening and encouraging to me was that they were talking about how, you know, if I just want the game experience, so no distractions, no commentary, no ads, no tickers, no score updates even, I can have that clean view on my TV.
Exactly.
And then be sitting on my couch with my iPad and have all of that stuff. I can look at stats, exactly. I can check out the latest ad, I can buy a jersey, I can gamble on the game, whatever it happens to be.
Exactly. You know? And you can pick your own personalized viewing experience. And everyone kind of talks about, you know, iPads or DVRs or, you know, video on demand or having all this content being personalized, you know, whenever I can see it, that, you know, the average person sends 250 texts and watches, you know, 50 hours of video on 7 different screens during a week. Yeah, that's all true, but exactly as you say, the holy grail is that personalization, is being able to have this kind of, you know, checkbox of, okay, I want to have this experience right now. Yeah. And as a content creator and a content producer, that for me is you know, one of the most exciting things, because it just opens up a whole array of, you know, no longer is the main screen the only screen and the screen that you create for. Yeah. You know, the second screen becomes much more of an interactive and that may pivot and flip one day, that the second screen is going to become more important than the first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the really powerful messages that I got out of those videos that I watched too was the idea that, we'll say traditional media like TV is not dying. In fact, it's being enhanced by all this technology, in the sense that people still want to watch the Super Bowl at the same time as everybody else watching the Super Bowl, even if they're sitting by themselves eating their Doritos on their couch, right?
Yeah,
There's still something about that makes people excited, right?
Exactly. It's still the water cooler effect. It's still the fireside chat effect. People want to share the same live experience, and that's been the discussion that's been going on. Again, like, watching stuff whenever I want to, but that's where. And to go back to your original question, why I think all of us, who are watching this, and yourself and me included, got into this industry, is that feeling. There's no better feeling than a kickoff. There's no better feeling than the last buzzer. There's no better feeling than the curtain dropping or the lights going on and the hockey team skating on the rink. And that's the buzz about it. Where we can come into play as content producers is enhancing that and personalizing that. You look at NHL.com or their app. I can pick any game that's going on any night, and I can pick any camera, and I can pick what announcers I want to listen to. Like I live just outside of New York City, and so I'm a Leafs fan. But I can.
Sorry to hear that. Right?
I know. Me too. I can listen to my hometown announcers and pick any camera that I want, sitting here on my couch while I'm watching the Rangers, on my big TV. So it's just so amazing what's going to be happening these days.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm really looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing all the stuff that you have going on too. I know we chatted briefly about that the other day, and we can't reveal a whole bunch here because obviously you have some confidentiality to keep, but you do have some really cool stuff going on, and I know I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot. Yeah, please keep a lookout for Keys Digital Media. I'm working, kind of keeping in the sports and entertainment industry, and we've augmented reality is an area that just fascinates me right now as well. It's really an area that's growing right now, where basically, when you watch, I don't know, I think what's that film, Minority Report, when you're basically walking down the street and ads, as you pass by, advertising will hit you and it'll go, hey Mark, you want this? We're working on technology right now where you can just point your iPhone at a movie poster and the trailer will play. We've got an augmented reality fight game that we're working with some of the other fight companies, MMA companies that we're working on right now, and really on the forefront of second screen and shoulder content for sports and entertainment networks.
Yeah, it is truly amazing, and like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing all the advances that are to come here. But the big question is when is Michael J. Fox's hover skateboard going to be a reality in this world? Right?
I know. Well, wasn't there that big hoax the other day that the car in Back to the Future was like a couple of weeks ago or something?
Yeah, and I think it's been photoshopped a few times to make it look like it was this year. I think it's actually 2013 or 16 or something like that. But
exactly. Well, things are happening. Hey, I'll take one of those skateboards. Definitely.
And you never know; it could be around by that time, right?
Excellent.
All right. Hey, thanks again for doing this, Mark. Really appreciate it. And maybe just let the viewers know how they can connect with you online.
Yeah, the best way, as I was saying earlier, is LinkedIn. Please just look up Mark Keys on LinkedIn, and please feel free to ask me any questions or link in with me. And if you're looking to get into this industry, just please, you got to keep passionate about it and love it and do it for the right reasons. And 10% is online, really, and the other 90% is going out and shaking hands and meeting cool people.
For sure. Yeah. Well, hey, we're a testament to that right there, right? We start the connection on LinkedIn, and next thing you know, we're chatting virtually via Skype here. So
exactly,
it's powerful stuff.
All right, man.
Okay. Thanks very much again, Mark.
Tripper, thank you so much.